Good.
Great. So good evening and welcome to the NLP practice session where we're going to do the phobia cure, or the Fast Phobia Model as it's known. We're going to do an explanation and then a demonstration of the phobia cure. So what we're going to do is I'll talk you through the process first of all, so that you kind of understand what a phobia is, why this works, and the most important concept involved. And then I'll explain the process itself, the actual model, and some of the nuances. And then I'll just demo it because that's the easiest way, I think, to understand it. And Sam's agreed to be the demo, and I can see it's like waiting for an exam, Sam, isn't it? Like I can see you just like, God, I don't want to have to sit through this. So what I would suggest that you do, because I know that you have sat through the explanation, haven't you? Yeah. So if you want to get some music and like headphones and stuff and just, go to your happy place if it's more comfortable, because we want you to be totally chilled and comfortable the whole time, right? That is really important, that you're just chilled and happy and relaxed and almost having fun even. So if you're sitting there kind of, getting sort of worried about anything, then that's important to me, is that you actually kind of go, no, I'm just going to get a cup of tea. I'm just going to go and, see what's on telly for 5 minutes, just because I think that's important. And I'll be as
relaxed.
Yeah, totally.
I'm relaxed.
Good. And I'll be as fast as I can on the explanation.
Okay.
All right. So, what is an actual phobia? So I think that's really important, first of all, to understand what we're dealing with and what it is not. So the difference between a fear, this is the most important bit, the difference between a fear and a phobia is what? Can anyone tell me? What's the defining factor between a strong fear of something and an actual phobia? What's the classification?
Hi, Jess.
Hello.
Hello. Is the difference a phobia? With a phobia, you have a physical reaction.
Yeah.
Where you either break out into the sweats, you start to shake, your knees go all wobbly. That for me is a phobia, because it's really something that actually is all encompassing. But a fear is that's just an emotion. It may be just a thought, but you don't actually experience a physical reaction to it necessarily.
Okay, so you're absolutely on the right track there, in that by the time you get so frightened that you're now having a physiological reaction to something, it's showing that it's now beyond that kind of conscious control, that it's now sort of in the body, as opposed to more sort of the limbic system. It's gone into the reptilian part of the brain, which is the bit of the brain that, kind of gets you home, even if you're blind drunk. Not that I would know, but I've had friends that have explained this to me. But it's the part of you that literally you think, how the hell did I get home? Because it's, it's literally the bit that walks your legs, in the right direction. But the reptilian part of the brain is engaged with a phobia to the point where it will not let you near the thing. It is utterly total avoidance when it's a phobia. If it's a strong fear of flying, you will get on a plane, given, a few drinks or a couple of, relaxing tablets. You will get on a plane. If you have a phobia, you can't do it. So literally your body wouldn't let you get on it. I think, do you remember, in the A-Team, they had to drug, is it BA, the character? You had to drug him to get him on.
BA Baracus. Yeah.
So they had to drug him, because that is basically the only way you would get somebody on a plane, if they had a phobia of flying. So most of the time people talk about phobia, they're really talking about a fear. What we're talking about here is total avoidance of something, where you know, literally, like Susan says, your body's involved. So if I have a phobia of birds and they start flapping, my body is heading in the opposite direction before my conscious brain is even engaged that there is a bird. So it's so primal, it's so incredible, and it's programmed deep into the body for one reason and one reason only, and that's to keep you alive. So you can have experienced something at a really young age, have no conscious memory of it, but your body has remembered. So it will keep you alive. The problem with the phobia is that obviously it doesn't really play much of a part in the 21st century, because it's unlikely that there are saber-toothed tigers that we need to escape from, that we just need to react to. And therefore, because the way that brain generalizes when it's frightened, you could have, for example, been a little baby and you're playing with something in the garden, and I don't know, for argument's sake, you know, you pick up a bucket, you know, like your bucket and spade, and at the same time your mother screams because she sees a spider and she's got a fear of spiders, and just as you're picking up the bucket you hear your mother scream, and that feeling in you is now imprinted and associated like a big anchor to whatever it is you're looking at the time. If it was a spider, you'll have a phobia of spiders. If it's the bucket, you'll now have a phobia of buckets. And this is how you can often get the weird, obscure phobias, you know, like buttons and kind of odd things that you think, really? But it would have just been, I mean, buttons make sense, because if I saw my little baby with a button, my reaction, you know, if I didn't know about phobias and how they get installed, my reaction might be so terrified they're going to swallow it or whatever, that my overreaction gets associated with the button instead of the child understanding that you were scared they were going to swallow it. Had exactly this experience. One of the only times I've been actually like verbally very rude to someone was in last summer when I was taking Rocky in the woods for a walk, and he loved finding holes and poking sticks down holes, which we don't do anymore because for this reason. Anyway, he found a wasp's nest, so he pokes this big hole down this wasp's nest, and then the next thing I know, I turn around and my child is covered in wasps from top to bottom, and he's like, "Mummy, look!" And it was all I could do not to react, obviously, because there's my baby and he's covered in wasps, and like anyway, so I was like, oh, okay, let's get them off then, like, you know, trying to just be really super chilled about it. And then he went, ow. I was like, okay, let's get them off, la la la. Anyway, so behind us came these two parents and these two kind of like 10 and 12-year-old children that had been playing. Anyway, so they walk through this cloud of wasps that surround us, and they start freaking out. Parents screaming, children screaming. And because they weren't going away, there's me trying to very calmly brush these wasps off my child to stop him getting a phobia. And all of a sudden there's this screaming group of people, right? So, which is going to scare him. So without really thinking about it, I was like, be quiet. Like, do one, please. Because I just thought, oh, this is how it bloody starts, you know, this is how it begins. So luckily, they moved on very quickly and we just brushed off the wasps. Oh, I got stung so bad. I was just like, I just kind of styled it out. Anyway, we went back there the following week and he stuck a stick down the same hole. So literally the kid is either really, really slow or wasn't affected by the process. So I'm quite relieved that he seems quite resilient to it. But you can see how easily things like that would create a panic feeling in a child and what have you, even in a grown-up. I wasn't so keen on going back there. So that's how they get in there. And then once it's in the reptilian brain, there's no amount of rationalizing it that's going to get it out. You can talk about it so the cows come home, nothing's going to work because it's not in your cerebral cortex. That's not where the problem is. It's in your reptilian brain, and things don't just fall out willy-nilly of the reptilian brain, the part of the brain, they're like the brain stem. So how do we get the feeling out? How ultimately what you've got is a very strong anchor to a visual stimulus and a huge response. So basically what we need to do is retrain the brain so that it can see the stimulus but feel nothing. Now, for most of you, you might be thinking, oh, collapse anchors, right? That's a visual, like, internal representation and a strong feeling. Why don't we just collapse anchors? Well, you could if it was a fear. But imagine when you come to do the collapsing anchors side of thing, and you do a really powerful positive, and they're like, right, okay, now just think of the thing that creates this feeling, and squeeze your left finger and thumb. They wouldn't be able to do it because if they were actually having the phobic reaction, they'd have run away. So not only is it very, very uncomfortable to actually, create that as an anchor, but also you'd need such a powerful positive that it would just be unpleasant. You can use this for PTSD and trauma. And it also, again, you wouldn't want to collapse anchors on that because you don't want the person to re-experience those unpleasant emotions. So collapsing anchors works great for sort of the more milder emotions you can bear. This is not that. So what else could we do? Well, we use our submodality knowledge. So there's two kind of concepts involved. The first one is what we do when, does anybody do this when you're watching a horror film or you're watching something with violence in it? And you don't really want to you don't want to turn it off, but you also don't want to, you want to look away, but you don't want to miss any of the story. What's the strategy that you can use? Yeah. So Amy's like, and what do you do when you cover your eyes? What are you actually doing? What's happening to the image?
Distorted.
So it's slightly distorted, isn't it? It's like it's not quite having the full sort of effect on you. Yeah, that's one thing. So it lessens the submodality, it breaks it up a little bit. Does anybody ever look at the corner of the screen so that you're kind of looking it out of the corner of your eye? So it's like, well, I'll see where it finishes, I'll see where it ends. Anything like that? So peripheral vision is massively important when it comes to the phobia cure. It's so helpful because if you look at something in your foveal vision, which is straight on, you will inevitably feel very strongly about it, right? Because it's right in front of you. But if you look at something out of your peripheral vision, all of the submodalities are lessened. It's not as important. It's not going to have as big an effect on you. So that's one of the concepts that we need to understand first of all, is peripheral vision and how much that lessens. Think about this stimulus that we're looking at, and this big reaction. We need to retrain it. We need to be able to see it and feel nothing. So not just less, but nothing. So first thing to know is peripheral vision is going to help us lessen how we feel about something. The next important concept is what we call double dissociation. And double dissociation, remember, think about what happened on the practitioner training where you stepped out of your experience on the beach. Do you remember that? So if you might have been experiencing this lovely beach, and then you stepped out and kind of looked at a picture of yourself on the beach, and suddenly you're like, oh, that's a nice picture, but I'm not feeling the beach anymore. Well, imagine now stepping out of yourself. So you're now looking at yourself looking at a picture of yourself. So even once more again, dissociate again, and you end up with this double dissociation. So you can't even really have empathy for what's in the picture because you're so far removed from it. Yeah, I'll show you the okay. I'll show you the
Hi Jess. Hi everybody. Just a quick one. Are we the phobia that we're doing this evening, is it working from the page 107 in the manual?
It is.
Okay, cool.
Yes. Cool. All right, so I'll just show you the few slides for this concept because it'll be easier to understand it. So double dissociation is not just dissociated, which is kind of looking at yourself, you know, stepping out of an experience and looking at yourself. Double dissociation is stepping out of yourself, looking at yourself. So you have a couple of options if you're double dissociated. You can look at the person looking at themselves, so you can look at yourself looking at yourself. Or if you were to think of that picture of the beach, if you were to float out of the picture of the beach, first of all, so you're looking at a picture of yourself, and then step out of yourself again, you could either be looking at the person, you know, yourself looking at the picture, or you could be looking at the picture. Now, either way, you're still going to have no feelings about the beach because your feelings are right in the picture. Your feelings are kind of twice removed. And this is a really important, like the critical part of the phobia cure. Now, John Grinder, there's a video of him on YouTube, which is great, of him literally using just double dissociation to cure phobia. Because once the reptilian brain has seen the object, seen the stimulus with no feeling attached to it, it's retrained, it's done. That's the phobia cure. So the double dissociation is the bit that does the work. The phobia model is just a really nice, kind of clean, fully comprehensive way of curing a phobia kind of fully and completely. But the bit that's doing the work in the process is called double dissociation. That's the key to remember. That bit has to go right, otherwise none of the other bits are going to matter that much. Okay, so double dissociation is key. Bless Nick, we did this and we tried to explain double dissociation from a phobia point of view. So imagine that Nick has had this experience with a paper spider, let's just say. And apologies for anyone. I normally do a spider with 3 legs just in case, so it doesn't trigger anyone, but apologies, this one's got 4. So imagine that Nick has had a real experience here. So that's a real memory, yeah? If he imagines stepping out of that memory and looking at it like it was a picture, that's dissociated, yeah? So double dissociated is him stepping out of himself looking at it. So hopefully you can see that. Oh, is that? Yeah, there we go. So now if he was to look at the actual spider in the picture, so actual directly at the spider, his brain, because he's stepped, you know, mentally stepped out of himself, his brain can't feel the same feelings because it's not the same representation anymore. Okay, so if he was to look directly at the picture, he wouldn't feel any emotions about it. He could also look at himself, so he could look at the back of his head in the picture in front of him and look at the spider out of his peripheral vision, which would have even more of an effect. Yeah, so he would just look at the spider out of his peripheral vision so that to really limit the amount of emotion he's capable of feeling about it. Once that's done, see, it's a one-time learning that gets it in, it's a one-time learning that gets it out. And that's it, okay? So that is the only important concept really that you need to understand in order to do the phobia cure, is the double dissociation. The rest of it is really just the kind of show busy bit that is the full and completeness, you know, that makes it comfortable, that makes it fun, that makes it, you know, super, super double efficient and effective. Cool. Oh. Lovely. All right, so I was going to share the script, but doesn't make any sense. If Laura, did you say you haven't got it? Have you got it now? You have. Good. Fabulous. All right. Lovely. All right, so let me take you through the, in fact, probably best thing to do, wherever you are at the moment, let's practice double dissociation. So some of you are going to have to get up out of bed. So if you think about it, right, so, and this is a really good test. So make sure the screen is as big as possible so that you can see yourself right now on the screen, right? So right now, if you were, yes, if you can see yourself, you're already a little bit dissociated. But if you stand up or stand away and look at yourself in the chair, see if you can get to a point where you're standing so that you can see yourself and yourself on the screen at the same time. So as in, you can see where you were sitting and you can see yourself directly on the screen. And then check what happens if, like, I do some waving, so you can see me waving. And now look at me out of the peripheral vision, so kind of the corner of your eye, and notice what happens. You can still notice what's happening. Yeah. You can sort of notice what's happening, but it doesn't have that much of an effect on you. So everybody,
I was just going to say, Jess, if you stand up, you can't see yourself on the screen.
Oh yeah, but what I mean is you can see where you were sitting, but yeah. Right. You can't see yourself on the screen, but you can see me, is what I meant. You can see me. Okay, so if you've all had that experience, or at least you can kind of say, okay, there's where I'm sitting, and that's Jess there. The person sitting there can have an opinion about Jess, but I can't, because I'm over there, myself is here, and I can kind of see Jess in my peripheral vision. So that's the bit that when we're working with clients, we need to make sure they understand that, because obviously that's the crux of the whole thing. Okay, so if we go through the process, super straightforward process. First one is set what we call, I don't really like calling it a bailout anchor, but it's the oldies, you know, the oldies from the NLP world call it that. I think it presupposes trouble. So, you know, like if you say, right, we'll set a bailout anchor, what do you think might happen that would require that? So I prefer just a calm and safe anchor, because that's really what it is. So make sure we've got one of those. We also need to reassure the person, so Sam in this case, that we're not going to do anything unexpected, that we are not going to expose them to anything physically, pictorially, you know, we're not going to present them with anything to do with the phobia, nothing. If they want to, they can do it themselves later. They can, you know, they can go off and experiment with different things if that's their convincer, right? But we don't do it, because if we did, people would not show up for the session. They just wouldn't be able to, because their brain would say, well, she's going to do something to you. So we make sure everyone knows that we're not going to do a thing. And if you wanted to at the end, yes, then we could, you know, look at pictures or whatever, but it would be instigated by the individual, not us. We don't need to. We can check, we can calibrate using internal representations, since that's where the problem is anyway. So reassure Sam, not going to do anything, nothing to you, nothing unexpected. We also need to check the ecology. So sometimes people say, you know, oh, I want to not be phobic of spiders. And for example, you know, they're about to move to Australia where you might need a different learned behavior around them. You need a different respect for them, or you need to not necessarily be phobic of them, but you need a healthy respect, let's say. So we just need to check that it's okay, that there's not going to end up you know, causing any problems, letting go of something. So again, checking ecology, one of the easiest ways to do that. Is it okay with your unconscious mind for you to release this phobia today? That's pretty much the yeah. It is good. Okay. Some people, when you say, is it okay? I think checking for rationale is really important. So is it okay to, let's say you've got a phobia of birds. Is it okay for us to release this phobia of birds? Although your body doesn't know it, do you accept that they are not posing a threat to you? Because what I've had in the past is people kind of say, well, they are evil. And of course, it's like, okay, so this is your cerebral cortex I'm talking to now. So does your conscious brain think they're evil? Yes, they are. They're just evil. They're evil things. Okay, right. So that's going to have to be dealt with first, because that's not a phobia. That's a belief. That's an actual belief that something is harmful, which the phobia isn't going to change. So because you're not probably going to get permission from the unconscious mind to release a phobia if the conscious brain says, no, they're dangerous. The other question is, I'm not going to like them at the end, am I? I'm not going to love them, am I? Because that's the other fear, is that the belief in the technique might be so strong that they think you're going to end up loving. One guy was afraid of frogs, and he's like, I'm not going to end up liking them, am I? And I said, well, not unless you want to. So you want to check where the ecology is in terms of how much do you want to be able to do at the end. So where do you want this? How do you want to feel about them? Where do you want it to end? So with flapping birds, for example, it might just be that I just want to ignore them. I don't necessarily want to go out there and make a pet out of one. I just want to be able to ignore them. And that's fine. And then that becomes part of your test at the end to check that they've got where they wanted to get to. And you don't stop until they're there. So that's the ecology aspect, making sure that it's actually sort of rationally a good idea to do it. And that there's nothing bad that's going to happen if you release phobia, or that they think is going to happen. The next thing is what we call eliciting the strategy for having the phobia and calibrating the response. So we do this at the same time. So does anyone know what I mean by strategy for the phobia?
Is it to ask them, like, how does it affect you?
That would probably be, I see what the question you're asking for. I would probably say that would be the calibration aspect of it. The strategy is the questions we'd have to ask them to enable to see how bad it is. Right,
okay, yeah. So I made a note before, just like, how does it affect you on that? So I suppose, yeah, that's one of the questions that will get you there. Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of being quite specific about what can you do, what elicits the reaction, what's the trigger. So some people, for example, like you say, birds are fine. The moment they flap their wings, all bets are off at that point. So that you need to work out what is it specifically that is causing the problem. And you just test a few things. Is it distance? Is it location? Is it, sort of the level of exposure to it, or the sound, or you just work it through basically. And I'll show you that on the demo. And as you do that, you calibrate. So you're watching for body language, because at the end, that body language will be different, and you want to be able to and you won't progress in testing the strategy. You won't test, like, for example, increase the increase the exposure when in your testing until the calibrated behavior is 0, right? So there's no physiological reaction. If somebody can look at a black and white picture, then great, maybe you offer them the idea of thinking about a color picture. And if they have a reaction to that, you then don't proceed to say, great, and how do you feel about one moving, right? You work through ensuring they have no reaction at each point. And if they do have a reaction, you go back and you keep going until they don't have any reaction. The next thing is this notion of the movie theatre, which I'm going to explain in the demo, but essentially it allows us to create a really nice, comfortable space and an easy reference point for the double dissociation. So it just makes that bit easier. We bring in this notion of the movie theatre and the projection booth, because again, a reel of film depicting a memory, which is what we're going to use, is automatically dissociated and within their control becomes a physical thing. So it's much easier than it being in your head. It's now physically somewhere outside of you. We are going to use the phobia cure on the major memories. Probably they may be the early ones. It doesn't really matter as long as you get some of the bigger ones, you know, the sort of the major ones they remember. The earlier ones, obviously, the better. You don't need to get like the first one, although, gosh, if you can get the first one, that's brilliant. That's really helpful. Each of the reels of film depicts the whole memory from safe to safe. So before anything happened to well afterwards and you're fine. Again, to keep the client safe, knowing that they can skip to the end or at the beginning and they won't see anything. So that's really important. So ultimately what's going to happen is there's a 2-stage process. We're going to ask the client to tell us how many reels of film depicting the major memories there are in the projection booth. They'll usually say but 3 or 4. So each of these memories we're going to do the following with. The first thing we're going to do is have them watch the reel of film, first of all, forwards in black and white, but from the projection booth, looking through the little window at themselves sitting in the seat, watching the film. So even if you do that now, wherever your screen is in front of you, if you just put your hand and imagine your little self watching the big screen, and now you're looking at the back of your head, you can see the screen in the background. Yeah. But you're not looking directly at the screen. And that's what the person's going to do with their memories. They're going to watch them forwards in black and white, but from this double dissociated position. Once they've done it without peeking, very important that they don't peek, we're going to ask them whether they've got any learnings about the movie. So being able to see it from that vantage point, did you learn anything? And then quite often there'll be some interesting and positive learnings at that point, because we want to keep those. But at that point, there won't be any feeling left in the memory, but we're not going to test that just yet. What we then do, so this is the second half, we then freeze frame at the end of that memory and have the person float in and rewind the memory associated in color back to the beginning. Quick break state, do it again, break state, again, break state, again, break state, again. What that does is it replays the event backwards enough times that it's almost like the memory can't play forwards anymore. So even if there was any feeling left, it's kind of gone because it's gone in reverse. So it can't play the same way anymore. And you do that while playing a silly piece of music, just to make sure any feeling there was left is now collapsed in there as well. And then you do that with the other reels of film. You can ask them what to do with each reel of film at the end. You know, they could burn it, they could store it, they could bin it, do whatever they want with it until they've done all of those reels of film. Then you test the phobia. So you break state and say, right, okay, can you look at a black and white picture? Can you blah, blah, blah? And you keep going until you get to the point at which they were happy, which is wherever they said they want to get to. So you've tested it in the mind's eye, okay, at that point. And then you future pace so that they can imagine it being fine outside of the coaching relationship. And then that's it, we leave them at that point. And then it's up to them to go and test it. If their convincer is no, I'll only know, and if it's really happening, then it's going to be a kind of London Zoo situation, or call you in 10 years when it actually happens kind of situation. It's as long as the person tests it in their head, there's no phobia. So if they, that's the important thing to remember. They can do this, if you can elicit the strategy and then run that strategy and get no response from their physiology, you are done. Yeah, it's only that the client that might need convincing, but we know they're done, and it's not going to sort of creep back later on. It's not how it works. All right, so everyone ready for the demo? Most importantly, Sam, are you ready for the demo, my friend? No.
My shoulders are really tense.
Oh, bless you. Well, let's do.
I'm like, oh, I need to move them around a bit.
I was going to say, do you if you've got any adrenaline in your body, then definitely running around. Just a quick run around.
Yeah, no, I'm all right. I just, yeah.
Oh, lovely. Well, let's do a quick anchoring first of all. So you've got this lovely beach background.
Yep.
In the lovely relaxing space. So where would you like to anchor? Squeezing a fist? What's the more natural thing for you that you haven't perhaps got anchors in already?
That.
Yeah, that the second one.
Yeah, so that's the second finger and thumb.
Great. Also a little rabbit.
Yeah, little rabbit.
Good, awesome. All right, so when you're ready, close your eyes and remember a time that you felt totally safe, or a space that you just feel so safe in. Go back to that time. Put down into your body. See what you see. Hear what you hear, and really feel the feelings. Being totally safe and relaxed. That's it. Breathe how you breathe. When you feel totally safe, that's it. Stronger and stronger with every breath. Hear the sounds that make you feel so relaxed. That's it. So safe. So relaxed. Just squeeze your thumb and finger together to really capture in that lovely feeling, that instantaneous relaxation. Saying what you say to yourself, that's it. Stronger and stronger with every breath. Good. Stronger and stronger with every breath. Good. And then relax your hand. Come back to the now. Awesome. Okay. So favorite breakfast food?
Granola and berries at the moment.
Oh, with yogurt or milk or
Greek yogurt.
Good. Okay. All right. So just go ahead and test that anchor and just make sure that you get a kind of instantaneous kind of feeling. Yeah. Nice. How strong is that out of 10?
Say about a 7.
Lovely. Okay. Does it need to be higher?
No.
It's all good.
7.
All right. So you have total control over whether you press your anchor at any point or not, right? So you need to feel totally chill and relaxed this whole time. So if you need to, you fire it off yourself. You fire off that like feeling. Yeah, don't wait for me. Just make sure that you're constantly feeling calm and relaxed at all times. Yeah, there is no need for you to be uncomfortable. Okay, except for with one exception, which is with just me at the beginning asking the questions to elicit the strategy. Okay, and then after that, but you can fire off the anchor if when I ask you questions it makes you feel uncomfortable. Yeah, so you fire it off, and then just stay relaxed as much as you can.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Now, quick question: is it all right with your unconscious mind for you to release this phobia today?
Absolutely.
Great. Okay. And now I'm just gonna. Is it perfectly safe to release the phobia?
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously, I'm going to ask you what the phobia is. Weirdly, obviously, in NLP, we don't need to ask the content. I'm going to for the purpose of this, but we don't need to if anybody ever doesn't want to say what it is. Okay, so just so you know. Now, is it in your conscious brain, like your rational brain? Is there a reason, like, is there a good reason to have a phobia of the thing that you're phobic of? Is it safe for you to have a rational response to whatever it is? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's perfectly rational that you can feel calm and relaxed around. Even if you need to move away from something, you can do it in a calm and relaxed, efficient way. Okay. Resourceful, I think, is the key term, isn't it? Key term. Okay. And again, just to reassure you, I'm not going to do anything. No surprises. I'm not going to ask you to do anything other than kind of think different things so we can test, and then we'll just remove it. All right. So first of all, what is the phobia, just for the purposes of the demo?
It's seeing snakes move. Like I'm literally.
And it makes you, yeah. So what you were thinking of just then,
Yeah.
in your head, what were you thinking of just then? Was it a particular picture or?
Yeah, two pictures come to mind immediately.
Okay, give me a label for picture number one.
Father-in-law.
And second one?
Second one, Sir David Attenborough.
Great. Okay. Lovely. All right. Now, because of the reaction was basic or even just the thought, like there's no need for us to go any further in terms of seeing how much more of a reaction we can get. I'm no interest in doing that. That's enough. The moment that you think of it, that's when you get the nausea. How has this affected you in the past?
It's actually made me throw up physically. And right now it's sitting about here.
Okay, so just use your anchor just to go back to that safe space. That's it. And just importantly, saying what you say to yourself when you're calm and relaxed. Really just say what you say to yourself in your mind. Okay. Lovely. Good. Well done. Marvelous. Well done. Okay. So that's the worst bit. All right. So what we're going to do now is we've got the strategy is very simple, right? You've already sort of said what the strategy is. And we've already calibrated a very clear, strong body language, right? That we can calibrate again later. So let's start the actual process now to release this. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I want you to imagine that you're in this beautiful cinema. Okay. Notice the color of the seats, the texture of the seats, how wonderful it feels to be in there. This is your private cinema. Okay. As such, you have total control over every single thing that plays on this cinema. You can either think it or you can use a remote control, but you have total control over what appears on the screen in front of you. So right now, I'd like you to test that theory and just put a cartoon or something funny up on the, or something nice, a picture of a beach or whatever you want to see on that screen, something that you'd enjoy. Yeah, just let me know when you've popped whatever it is up on the screen. You're still choosing?
No, it's not that. You know, when you get the, you know, when you close your eyes, you can just see the laptop screen.
Yeah.
That's what I got in my head. I can't see anything at the moment. It's
okay,
fine.
That's fine. Have you been to a cinema, obviously not in the last year, but have you been to a cinema in the last few years?
Oh, Black Panther.
Oh.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The film Black Panther, he's just come up at me.
Perfect. Okay, good.
Ooh.
So just enjoy that for a moment.
Yeah.
And take a moment now that that's playing to just really kind of embellish in your mind's eye the kind of cinema you would have if you built your own cinema in your own home, or how it would look. What color would the seats be, for example?
Oh, deep red with cream.
Oh, okay. Fabric or leather?
No, fabric.
Fabric.
Comfy.
Cool. And are you a popcorn girl or a?
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Okay. Sweet, salty, both mixture? Mixed. Okay, good. And what's your beverage of choice? Champagne. It's your cinema. It's your private cinema. Of course, there'd be champagne on tap, right? Okay, good. So now we're getting there. Okay, so we've got this beautiful cinema. I've got the Black Panther showing. You can make the screen as big as you like, so it's comfortable to watch. So don't be too close, don't be too far away. Just make it absolutely perfect. Okay. And I just want you to check that you can control what's on the screen. So pause the film. So just pause it for me. Yeah. And then imagine you can skip forward a few scenes to the good bit. Okay. And then freeze frame right at the end, like the end credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then skip right back to the beginning where the title's at the beginning. Yeah. Just imagine it. And then imagine skip to kind of the middle bit, but then take all the color out. So it's just kind of black and white and a bit dull. Yeah. Okay. And then when you've done that, just want you to imagine that you could literally kind of black out the screen so there's nothing showing. Like switch it off completely. Yeah?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Now, most important bit here is you leave yourself sitting having that lovely champagne experience. Yeah. And if you can bring yourself to flow out of your body and imagine that there's like a projection booth behind you. So an actual separate room behind the cinema where the projector and all the reels of film are kept. And imagine you can float in there now and then kind of look through the little window at yourself in the seats. So you can still see Sam there with her champagne and her popcorn. Yeah, watching the film. Yeah, you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's funny?
It doesn't take long to drink a glass.
No. You want the bottle, love. You want the.
Yeah. No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Why are you drinking
I
out
see myself refilling it.
Okay. Good. All right. So Sam's there with her bottle of champagne and her popcorn, having a lovely time, and you can see kind of the back of your head through the booth. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Awesome. Now that you're in the projection booth, the projector is there, but I want you just to take a look around, because somewhere in that booth there are several reels of film depicting the major memories causing this phobia. Now, one of them may be the first ever experience, we don't know, but have a look around and just quickly off the top of your head count how many reels there are. Kind of gut feeling.
3.
3. Perfect. Okay. Now, what I would do is I'd put them all in one place so they're nice and safe and out of the way for a moment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can even put them in locked cabinets if you need to, right? So you know that they're not going anywhere. But I want you to pick the first one. If there is an earlier one, pick that one and just hold the reel of film. So it's in, is it one in one of those metal cases?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So take it out of the box, pop it into the projector, or you can give it to, you know, a man that can. So give it to someone to do it for you, but pop it up onto the projector. Okay. Now, what's going to happen next is you're going to have that memory play on the screen, but you are going to kind of watch it out of the corner of your eye whilst you look at the back of your own head in the seats. Yeah. So you're going to be in the projection booth, peeking through the window, and you're going to keep your eyes fixed on the back of Sam's head. And only in the background are you going to see this memory playing out. Yeah. Just nod to let me know you understand. We haven't started yet, so don't get ahead of me. So you're not ever going to look at the screen directly. You're only going to see it out of the kind of corner of your eye. So you'll notice what's happening, but it won't be sort of head on. Yeah. Yeah, you ready? Okay, it's going to happen in black and white. So you're going to play the movie in black and white. So when you're ready, this reel of film is going to start before it ever happened. So the film's going to start before anything ever happened, and it's going to end well after anything happened and you're safe and sound again. Okay, so when you're ready, pop it up on the screen, black and white. Okay, go over to the projection booth window so you're looking at the back of your head. If it helps, you can put your hand kind of where the back of your head would be and another hand where the screen is, just to really separate them out. Yeah. And watch it in black and white all the way through to the end. That's it. Faster than real time, but just let it play out on the screen. You're aware of it, but it's like it's happening to someone else. Okay. And let me know when you get to the end. So it's just in the background, like it's happening to someone else. Keep your eyes fixed and focused on the back of your head in the seats.
At the end.
You're at the end. Great. Okay. So open your eyes for me. Well done. Did you peek at the screen at any point?
No.
No? Good. But you were aware of it happening?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Okay. So make sure you're using your anchor if you need to. That's it. All the time being calm and relaxed. Yeah. So from this vantage point, with it playing out as if it would happen to someone else, were you able to notice anything this time around that you hadn't noticed before? Anything kind of a positive that might constitute a positive learning, let's just say, or a different perspective?
I didn't get up and leave the seat.
Which is remarkable, which is wonderful. And about the memory itself, was there anything in it? So some people notice from a different angle, they're like, oh, it wasn't as close to me as I thought, or it's, oh, it wasn't actually, I wasn't in danger, or, oh, it wasn't as bad as it felt at the time.
No, I could remember there was a lot of laughter beforehand, and then there wasn't laughter.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, for me the positive was the fact that we were really relaxed and laughing, and we were having a nice family dinner.
Sure.
And that's what I could kind of see in the background as I was sat there watching myself. Was
right. And
you
the, and the rest of the memory played out though, yes? So that,
yes,
yes.
yeah.
Perfect. Okay. And was it the earliest one or just one of them?
It was the earliest one.
Great. Okay. All right. So it's up to you whether we do that again, just to double check that you didn't peak. Yeah, you definitely didn't peak. Fine. Okay. That's all we need then.
No, it was there in the background, but it wasn't. I was watching me and noticing how I didn't get up.
Lovely. There you go. So that
It's like, why are you moving?
That's fine. I just wanted to double check that, because that's the crux of it, is that you didn't peak. So that's brilliant. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of mess with this memory so it can't play again.
Okay.
So as long as you've kind of collected any positive learnings from the experience, obviously we always want to hold on to anything positive that comes out of an experience, but we can let the actual experience go because we don't need it anymore. All right, so what we're going to do is mess with the actual memory. Now, if it's all right with you, I will share my computer sound, if that's all right with you, so I can play a piece of music. Okay, because it's very important that we play this piece of music on this part of the technique. Okay, so what's going to happen is, if you get back into the projection booth for me, okay, now this time you're going to freeze frame that event like way after, right at the end, where everybody's happy and you know, and everybody's safe and long forgotten, all of it, and it's fine. And in a moment, you're going to float into the screen and into the original memory, but you're going to play it in reverse. So you're going to kind of, do you remember the like the Charlie Chaplin films and things, you know, the funny movements? Well, you're going to do that in reverse and go backwards. So kind of like, yeah, like a reverse of the memory. But so you're going to experience it backwards in color from the end to the beginning. Okay. And it's going to happen as fast as you possibly can do it. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're ready, float into the memory now and rewind as fast as you can. Yeah?
Yeah.
You back? Okay, open your eyes. Yeah. Okay, good. Good. Okay, right. So next thing, we're going to do this a few more times. So each time kind of like kind of the break state, just going to kind of open your eyes, shake shoulders. How are your shoulders feeling? Are they feeling any more relaxed, Jen?
A little bit more relaxed than what they were at the beginning.
Good. Good. All right. So again, back in the projection booth, freeze frame at the end where you're totally safe. And when you're ready, you're going to float in and rewind as fast as you can, all the way back to the beginning. Ready? Go! Yeah. Lovely. Okay, open your eyes. Straight shoulders. Good. You all right?
Yeah, sorry.
Good. A couple more times. Oh dear. What happened to that one?
It was just the image of seeing my father-in-law jumping up and down backwards.
With this theme music as well. It's even better. Yeah, it's probably good. Awesome. All right, so one more time, back in the projection booth. Freeze frame at the end where everyone's safe and well. And when you're ready, float in and rewind as fast as you can. Go! All good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
All right. Now, so normally we would do it 5 times. Yeah. So we'll just do it once more because you're almost there. So we'll just do it once more. You might even really struggle to get the memory back at one point. It gets kind of so faded. So really try this time. Get back in the projection booth, freeze frame at the end.
It was actually difficult this time round.
Right.
It was almost like I only got a bit of it and then the rest of it was gone.
Great. Okay. So one more and it'll be done. So freeze frame at the end where everybody's fine. All right, get ready and float in and rewind. Very good. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, now what would you like to do with this reel of film?
Burn it.
Burn it. You're a burn it girl. Me too. Okay. So how would you like to burn it? Would you like an incinerator, matches? How would you
Great big oven thing.
Ooh, like the incinerator-y type thing.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay, well,
Freddy Krueger style, in it goes.
You might be surprised to learn that there is an incinerator in the projection booth. So feel free to close your eyes and just imagine burning this reel of film.
Oh yeah, it's right in there.
Good.
Yeah.
Lovely. Okay. Awesome. All right, so we're going to take the next reel of film now, which can be any one of the 2 remaining ones. It can be again the next earliest, or just ever the one that's the kind of the one you least like. But take that one next.
The one that I least like. Okay, yeah, okay.
Lovely. Okay. Yes. Okay. Good. So give it to someone else to put on the projector. Same thing again. So you're going to watch it through the little window. You're going to watch the back of your head, and it's going to happen in the background as if it's happening to someone else. It's going to be in black and white from the beginning where everybody's fine to the end where everybody's fine. And it's going to happen a bit faster than real time for me. Yeah, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, off you go. Just keep watching the back of your head as it's happening, as if it's happening to someone else. All the way over there in the back. All the way over there. Using your anchor if you need it. Yeah. Black and white, faster than real time, as if it's happening to someone else. All the way to the end.
Done.
Lovely. Brilliant. Okay. Well done. Woo. Just really kind of put on that anchor a little bit. Just make sure you're like totally chill. Good. Okay. All right. Can you drop your camera down a bit so I can see you a little bit more? It's all right. No, you don't have to change. Just drop your camera so I can see you a little bit more.
Sorry, I'm sat on my bed and I'm like, I had to come into a different room. Yeah.
Good. That's all right. As long as I can see you, that's perfect. Lovely. Okay, so from this vantage point, and you didn't peek on this time either, no?
No.
Perfect. So from this vantage point, were there any kind of new perspectives, any learnings, you know, that stood out to you this time around?
I wasn't looking directly at the screen. Watching myself in the seat, wasn't watching it directly at the screen. I was doing what I did as a kid, and I was like that.
Yeah, good. And in terms of the memory, being able to see it from that vantage point where it's kind of happening over there to someone else, were you able to kind of get any different perspective on it that might be helpful to learn from?
No, I think maybe I could still see. I could see myself watching it from the side, but I could still see a bit of it
Right
on the screen. It was
Yeah.
still kind of there, but it was a bit like watching the the really, really fast version of it rather than the actual real-time version, if you know what I mean.
I'm with you. Okay. But nothing obvious in terms of learnings stand out to you.
No.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, as long as you didn't peek and you watched it in peripheral, that's
Yeah.
fine. Good. All right, so well done. So now we're going to do exactly the same thing. You're going to freeze frame at the end. Projection booth, freeze frame at the end. You're going to float in, but rewind it, associated all the way back to the beginning as fast as you possibly can. Okay, are you ready to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're ready, freeze frame at the end, float in and rewind. Well done. Just take a minute with the anchor. That's all good. Breathe it in, relax. Very good. Very good. Excellent. All right. We need to sort of burn some sage or whatever in between.
Sage, what the witches use.
It's just is it like it's supposed to be like an energy cleanser or something? Like you clean a room or yeah, maybe. I'm sure it is. Good. All right. So I'm going to do that again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So when you're ready in the projection booth, freeze frame at the end where everybody's fine and get ready to float in and rewind. Go. Good. Well done. Okay. Clear the screen. Good. Okay, right. So as you do this, it's going to get harder to get it back. So when you're ready, back in the projection booth, freeze frame at the end where you're perfectly safe, and you're going to rewind through your own eyes. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, go. Good. Clear the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, getting harder to get back, or is it still there?
Yeah, it is getting harder to get back.
Brilliant. Okay, so we'll do it one more time at least then. So when you're ready, freeze frame at the end where you're safe. In full color this time, rewinding it through your own eyes. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Go. Nice. My shoulders are very relaxed now.
I'm feeling good.
Yeah, good. Okay, so do we need to do that one more, or are you?
No.
No, you're good with that one. Brilliant. Okay, and what do you want to do with this reel of film?
Yeah, incinerate it.
Incinerate it. Marvelous. So in it goes.
Yep.
Do that. Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Flames are licking it all up.
Okay. Are you incinerating the cans as well, or just the reels of film?
Just the reels.
Just the reels. Okay, so if you want to, you can find something really positively, beautifully symbolic and pop it into the can to replace the reel of film with, if you want to. So whether that's like a flower or something sort of symbolic that might sort of suddenly appear in the projection booth.
Baubles.
Baubles.
Like Christmas baubles.
Oh, lush. Okay, good, brilliant. So pop them in for those two reels of film, so that you've got something really precious and lovely in those reels now. Yeah, nice. And finally, so we've got the number 3.
Yep.
Yeah. So when you're ready, have a minion pop it onto the projector for you. Again, from where you're safe to where you're completely safe. And same routine as before, watching the back of your head. It's playing on the screen as if it's happening to someone else. All right, when you're ready, in black and white, all the way through, quite a bit faster than real time. Off you go. All the way over there, like it's happening to someone else.
Done.
Done? Fabulous. Okay. Lovely. So come back to me. And again, when you think about, are there any kind of learnings or new perspectives on this one, just from being able to see it from a slightly different angle?
It didn't feel as scary on this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you know any reason why? Was there anything that sort of made it more obvious to you at the time, like, oh, I was actually quite safe, or any?
I think when I can see the image from a distance, I can see how ridiculous my ex-mother-in-law looked, and it just made me realise that it was probably her screaming that probably triggered a reaction in me,
Right.
that then made me feel sick,
Ah.
because she told me what was happening. But from a distance, I could see her reactions, and
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Awesome. All right. So same routine as before. We're going to play it in reverse. You're going to float in and experience it backwards and rewind it. And so when you're ready, back in the projection booth, freeze frame at the end. When you're ready, float in and rewind. Let me know when you're ready.
yeah.
Awesome. Off you go.
Sorry.
What's I wish I was in your head right now.
Oh, you would die. You would literally just be pissing yourself, if you excuse the expression.
Oh, brilliant. Good. All right. Well, you're gonna have to do it a few more times. So
Sorry, yeah.
when you're ready. When you're ready. Okay, so back in the projection booth. Freeze frame at the end where you're totally safe, and then when you're ready, float in and rewind fast. Oh, good. Awesome. Okay. Clear the screen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 2 more times. Ready? Freeze frame at the end. Back in the projection booth. Freeze frame at the end where you're safe. And when you're ready,
Go.
go. Marvelous. Open your eyes. Clear the screen. Shake shoulders. Was it it's like Timotei hair.
I know. I would do, but it's just a brush at the moment because it's been washed. I'm literally like trying to control the curls.
Oh, right. Okay, good. Right. One more time when you're ready. Back in the projection booth. Freeze frame at the end where you're safe, and get ready to float in and rewind now. Oh. I tried to read that one. Were you done?
Yes.
Good.
I can barely see that last one.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good. All right. So, what do you want to do with this reel of film?
Yeah, incinerate.
Okay, so
Burn it.
Burn it. Hear the sound of the incinerator.
It's crackling.
Nice. Beautiful.
Mm.
Those unnecessary experiences just blown away. Good. And if there's something symbolic that you want to put in the can.
Yeah.
Nice. Good. Okay. Now, just have a quick check around. Are there any other reels of film that we need to deal with?
No, there's an empty bottle of champagne.
Oh, now, if you look carefully, there's a fridge in the projection booth filled with champagne, my friend.
Yay!
Just stocked up. Okay, good. Awesome. So, now that we've dealt with the reels of film, now we're just going to kind of test and future pace and see where we've got to. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So quick break state. What is your favorite type of champagne?
Laurent Perrier rosé.
I thought you were going to say like cold. Cold.
Has to be chilled though.
Yeah. Oh, a bit of Laurel Perrier.
Bit of Laurent Perrier, please.
Nice. That is my favourite. Yes. Indeed.
Can't do Moe. Ugh.
No. Me and my sister used to share a bottle of pink Laurel Perrier at Christmas. That was our little thing that we had. So, cool. That's back when we were allowed Christmas.
Yep.
remember back then. Right.
Feels like ages ago.
What's that? It does, doesn't it?
Feels like ages ago, literally.
It does. Right then. So, well, you might be cracking open a bottle soon. So let's see, shall we? So let's just test. Okay, so beforehand, right, you might remember a few minutes ago, I asked you to kind of think about what is it that you don't like about snakes, right? So, or what the phobia was. So remind me, what was it?
It was the way that they move.
Okay. And when you think about that now, how is it different?
I don't feel sick. And I don't have anything sitting there.
Interesting. Good.
Like, seriously, I have nothing sitting there. That's so weird.
Isn't it? Good. Okay. So normally, and so what do you feel now? So if you think about perhaps some of the pictures that that come to mind when you think about them, do you feel anything?
Just that they move fast.
Good. Okay. Okay, good. Now, there were a couple of memories in particular, or at least pictures that came to mind, weren't there, before?
Yeah.
So can you remember what they were?
I can.
And when you think about them now, what's different?
Well, one of the ones is the fact that they're moving quite fast. But actually, the gecko is moving even faster. So that was something. And the second one was, it was a necessary action.
Okay. And how do you feel differently when you think about those thoughts now?
Well, I don't feel sick.
Do you feel anything?
No, not at all.
Does that feel slightly more empowering?
It definitely does, yeah.
It's surprising. Like,
and surprising.
Where is it?
It's like, yeah. I'm literally wondering why it's not sitting right there, because it was in there when I was showering and it was in here when I was preparing, and it's not there anymore.
Lovely. Okay, so when you think about, can you remember any past experience where you might have had that old reaction and now when you think about it, there's no reaction?
Hey.
Good. Now, what would you, when you think about a time in the future where, had it happened in the past, you'd have had a reaction, how is it different now?
Doesn't cause a reaction.
Okay, good. Okay, so imagine, let's just for argument's sake, I want you to imagine that you're you walk into the living room and there's something on the TV. How is it different now?
I'd watch it.
Yeah? And feel nothing, or?
No, I think I'd just watch it and not feel phased by it.
Great.
Don't get me wrong, I don't like them, but I wouldn't necessarily need to change the channel
You
or
don't need to react.
get up and move.
Great. Okay. And is that where you want to be? Is
Yeah.
that where you'd like to be in terms of, like, I don't really need to have a reaction, as opposed to,
yeah,
you want to be able to do a particular thing?
Yeah. No, I don't want to have a reaction, so that's actually about right for me.
That's fine for you. Yeah. Great. Okay. And is there anything that you want to test while we're together in terms of something you'd like to be able to do, other than, like, I don't know, for example, I don't know whether like TV, pictures, anything that normally happens in your day-to-day life that you want to test here with me and see how it's different?
No.
No, you feel confident.
Yeah, I actually feel really quite relaxed.
Good. I'm
Yeah.
very, very pleased about that. Okay. Good.
Yeah, I feel
Good.
really relaxed. No, I feel fine.
Lovely. And where are you going to keep these cans, with the symbols in them? Where are you going to keep those?
I'm going to put them up on a wall.
Nice. Excellent. Okay. And what do they represent to you?
Happy times.
Happy times. Good. Excellent. Now, just for argument's sake, I just want you to imagine that we're kind of a year or 2 years down the line.
Mhm.
How is your life different, even in a small way, as a result of the work that you've done tonight?
I think realizing the difference between an actual fear and an actual phobia is actually really quite important.
Right.
You know,
And what's the important difference that you've noticed?
that I can actually do something about the fear, but I can also do something about the phobia, which I didn't think I could do at all. So, you know.
And has it added any kind of freedom to you, do you think?
Yeah, because I'm in control.
Great. So it's not going to limit your choices in the future, but give you more choice and more options and more empowerment. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
No
Lovely.
barriers.
No barriers. Good. And are you happy with that?
Yes.
Are you pleased with yourself?
I am.
Well done. Thank you. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks so much, Jess.
You are so welcome. You are so welcome. Lovely. All right. So thank you so much. Are there any questions for Sam or myself?
Is everybody still awake?
Silence. Look at that. 9:31.
Just one question, Jess, please. I love the how do you like to what would you like to do with the reel? And I'm just trying to work out where that went. So do you do that sort of after you've been through it a few times with that one particular memory, then say how do you want to dispose of it, and then you move on to the next one? That's what you do?
Yeah, so you deal with each memory in turn. That's really important. So each memory gets double dissociated, check for learnings, and then, or for different perspectives, just because you don't want to get rid of things that might still be useful. So if you just elicit and extract anything useful from it, then you can afford to let go of it at that point.
Cool.
So then you rewind so it doesn't run anymore. And that's also for PTSD and trauma and anything like that. That is how you create amnesia. So if somebody says, you know what, I had a trauma, I've done the double dissociation, I've learned what I needed to learn from it, like I've taken anything positive I could possibly find, I now just don't want to remember it happened. Then the rewinding it until you can't get it back is how you create amnesia around it. And then at that point, you don't need the reel of film, so you can sort of ceremoniously burn it or whatever. I haven't done the can thing before. That literally just occurred to me tonight, so I thought I'd just throw it in there.
It's good. It's really, really good. Thank you.
And it was kind of nice, wasn't it, Sam?
Yeah.
It's actually
It was actually, yeah. I quite like the creativity of making it all look pretty in the silver reel cans and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
well, as well, it's because if anybody'd had any positive learnings, that might be a nice way to symbolize what's replaced the experience was something positive. But obviously, the learnings weren't too explicit in terms of working out what they might be. So I thought, well, maybe the symbolism might be a better way to represent the experience and benefiting from it. So yeah. And there are no NLP police, so. The NLP SWAT team didn't burst down my door because I went off script, you'll notice. So neither will it when you do it either. So yeah, you do what you want. As long as you understand the concepts and what needs to happen, then the actual creativity and the things that you the way that you do it is entirely up to you. but also very important that you are laughing through most of it. That's so important, because you don't want to add any feelings, you know, like you don't have to be chuckling and the poor client isn't. That would just be mean. But it's important that it's light-hearted as possible. Good.
Jess, I've got a quick question. The bit you were doing at the beginning around trying to work out if it was a rational fear,
Yeah.
what was the question that you asked? So you asked like if it's okay to deal with it, is it safe? And then there was something about like, is there a good reason for it to be rational or unrational? I got a bit lost at that bit.
Yeah, so I was trying to work out the way to phrase it without using the word, because obviously I knew that that was a trigger, so I didn't want to keep asking questions that was going to elicit an unpleasant response, so I had to kind of use it and be a bit vague. But ultimately what I'm asking is there a good reason to be afraid of this? Is it serving some kind of purpose that we need to deal with first, I guess, is the point.
So if they say like, yes, there's a good reason to be afraid of it, would you do something else before you go into this?
I would do some reframing. Probably if I was doing a demo, it would be very quick reframe.
Yeah.
It would be kind of like, okay, good. So if we could, like, I don't know, let's say someone says, oh, it's, you know, birds are evil or whatever. I'm using that because it actually happened. So they're like, no, they're not to be trusted. They're not to be trusted. I'm thinking, who would trust a bird? I don't know many people that do, but do you know what I mean? There was this real sense of kind of, oh no, they're like, they've got it in for you, you know. And I think that in itself is part of the phobia, because of the birds and things like, you know, the films that create that sense that birds have that sort of ability. And because if you're so young when you watch it, you can't rationalize that, then that kind of gets all involved in it, but it's still a belief. So I think that hasn't grown up. So you'd have to say, okay, so you know, do you want to deal with that belief? Do you know what I mean? Like, you'd have to maybe do a bit of massaging, basically, on loosening their grip on it. You could do a timeline belief change. You know, you might just do some quick reframing. Sometimes the last resort can be, okay, so if we do the phobia cure and you still feel the same way at the end, then is it okay to give yourself permission to hold on to it? Do you know what I mean? Like, let's see how you feel at the end, and then if you want to still hold on to it, you can do. That would be kind of the last resort, really. But normally just a bit of, what's the positive intention? How do you know? How do you know?
They basically need to get to a point where they know it's not serving them.
No, because you've got to want to not have it.
Yeah, okay.
So if you're actually thinking, no, the only thing keeping me safe is this phobia, then your unconscious mind's not going to let you do anything about it.
Yeah.
That's the first belief that you have to challenge. But I've not really, that one thing where I was surprised that they actually said, oh no, there's a good reason to be afraid of them. That's the first and only time that someone's actually kind of rationally thought, no, they're really dangerous.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Cool. Was it useful to watch a demo? Because it's nice to see it on a live demo and a live example. Good.
Yeah, I thought it was really good, Jess, the music. So I've done Fast Phobia Cure with a client before, but I didn't have the music, and I think that really helps.
Yes. You know what? I've done it where I haven't had access to the music, and all I've done is I've said, do you remember the theme tune to Benny Hill? And they've gone, what was that? You know. And they go, oh my god, yeah, I do. Like, yeah, cool, okay, so now we have a reference. The other one is the bit that it goes into, as long as it's not a clown phobia, the bit that it
Yeah.
goes into there.
Yeah, but I suppose if you're getting them to remember, that's a kind of like AD, isn't it? Rather than if you're hearing it, it's just A. Maybe that's a bit more powerful. I don't
Although if you're singing it,
know. Yeah, I suppose so.
that's the point. I wouldn't just get them to imagine it, because they've got enough to do in their head.
Sure.
I would check whether me singing it makes them laugh first of all. So
Oh, definitely.
and if they giggle, right, that's fine. I will sing it as long as it's silly.
Yeah.
That's all good.
Okay, cool.
It just needs to be an extra layer of blocking and kind of collapsing anchors at this point, to get anything left, that's all, so that it does feel sort of lighthearted when they think about it. So yeah, but if you don't have access, that's fine, just try and think of something else to do.
And I particularly liked when you matched her when she started to laugh, how you laughed with her and then carried on that energy. It was really nice. I must remember to do that.
Yeah, we can get totally serious, can't we? Like when we're trying to do the techniques, and we don't want to upset anyone, so we don't laugh if they're not laughing.
Yeah.
General rule. Yeah, good.
Oh, noted.
Yes, noted indeed. Good. Any other questions? When would we use the script on page 106, the VK dissociation script? So there is the dissociation script on the previous page. Now, this is just a very watered down version, like the original kind of phobia cure. With NLP, you have the original technique that Bandler and Grinder created that usually worked perfectly well. And then what happened when submodalities was a relatively later addition. So at the very beginning, you'd have only had the VK dissociation and anchoring, really. So as they've gone on, obviously now submodalities and, the movie theatre, and people have kind of added a bit of ooh la la and submodalities to it. But actually, the VK dissociation is the bit that's doing the work. So you could look at that as a technique on its own. That's all. The phobia kit just makes a great demo. It makes great, it's more fun for the client. It's just, it's personal flavor and choice, really. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's in there really just to kind of to let you know that that's what the legacy technique was, really. And that's the bit that works. Cool. Lovely. You can also do the in timeline, so you can treat the phobia as like a negative emotion and go and do it in the timeline. But as soon as they find the event, they can drop into kind of the movie theatre technique at that point. So you're doing all of this back in time. Cool. Right, so next week then, which is the 30th, I think we're having a general practice next week. So those of you that want to practice it, you can kind of crack on and practice it. Or I know you've got your own groups and things like that where you do your practice sessions, so you can practice it in there. Yeah, or next week you can practice whatever you want, but that would be a really good opportunity because it does need a bit of practice so that you're sort of more fluid. Because it helps to safeguard the person if you're not thinking about what's coming next and you just enjoy it. Cool. Any other questions? You can have a question, Catherine. Just pause.
It was great. It was really good to see the demo actually, because Nick did it on me at the end of the prac, and he spent like a long time with me because I was freaking out. But yeah, it was nice to actually see it on somebody else.
Yeah, it's always the problem being the demo subject because you don't have any sort of recollection of what was going on. Yeah, good.
Yeah, that's it. It was just me and Nick, so yeah, it was nice to see something else. So yeah, really good. Thank you.
Marvelous. Right then, so if there are no more questions, then we'll close up tonight, and we'll see you next week for good old practice. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you, Jess. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.
Thanks.